Alright, so I had to come back with a reaction with this one because this one is spicy. This one's quite crazy, man. When I came across it, I was like, okay. I know there's a problem with upper echelon. MrBeast, really? Now you're stirred up in this mix, man? This craziness? It's already been a crazy 2024. Let's just be real. Let's just be honest. It's been a crazy 2024. But now MrBeast, the biggest YouTuber, the biggest one, the top dog. Wow, man. It's crazy, man. Now, before we get into this reaction, make sure you drop a like on this video. I would really appreciate that. Also, subscribe. I'm going to be doing these reactions like crazy on this account, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss another video from me. With that being said, let's jump right into this reaction.
Well, guys, I never thought I was actually going to say this, but it turns out MrBeast, aka Jimmy Donaldson, is a war criminal. He has so casually inflicted psychological torture on an ex-employee that he literally breaks down crying while trying to recount details. Forget about Ava Chris Tyson. This is not even related anymore. This is about Jimmy as a person and how terrible he is. Because Ava truly was the tip of the iceberg. One of the highest ranking members of MrBeast YouTube LLC for a long time was a known criminal on the sex offender registry. His criminal record states that the person he did these things to was extremely young. We're talking under 13 years old, and he was only fired recently with allegations that MrBeast YouTube LLC is trying to clear his name from public record. Because of course, they don't want this to bite them in the ass. Things are getting extremely serious. Let's talk about it. After uploading the first video, which was I Worked for MrBeast, He's a Fraud, the much anticipated sequel has finally come out, titled I Worked for MrBeast, He's a Sociopath. In it, we see Jake Weddle being interviewed, a stand-up comedian who used to work at MrBeast YouTube LLC during 2019 and 2020 as a writer and someone who appeared in the video sometimes. Like in this video, destroying my friend's car and surprising him with a new one. As you can see, he's right here, and he was one of the people who got his car destroyed, and it was meant to be a surprise. Like, oh, they're about to come out, they're gonna see this huge rock on the car, they're gonna think it's a meteor. He knew about it, by the way. This is when things would start to go from real videos to more staged and fake videos. According to him, of course. Now what happens next is that he notices that he's barely making any money compared to how much the videos are generating. And he talks about the political nature of MrBeast YouTube LLC, how if you were on Jimmy's good side and you praised him and you stroked his ego, you'd appear in videos more and he would give you random bonuses. But when you were on the bad side, and Jake Weddle was on the bad side, you would get nothing. He would be in videos all the time, but he would then get edited out of the videos most of the time. He tells this to another writer that he really likes on the team, like, hey, you know, maybe we could negotiate a little bit, we can let them know about how we feel, etc., etc. The other writer was reluctant, but Jake convinced him. They both go and try to negotiate, or at least argue their case, and they immediately just are told, well, cool. The next day they show up, they're fired. Of course, Jake breaks down crying here because he didn't want the other writer to lose his job because he loved his job. But that was the nature of the workplace known as MrBeast YouTube LLC. He'd start working there in 2019 and was fired in 2020. He was actually very happy to be fired.
See, I'm not even surprised about that. Like, I'm not surprised about it because when you get so big and you have such a big company, let's be honest, you're just a number. You're just a number. You're just another employee. What you can do, someone else can do. What they can do, someone else can do faster. And what they can do, someone else can do better. It's always like that. It's always like that, you know? And I feel like this dude is, I don't know, maybe being a little over dramatic because that's the real world, man. That's the real world. It happens to people all the time. You're just dealing with someone that has a lot more money than most people, but it happens all the time, my guy. Happens all the time.
Fired. He mentions how different Jimmy was off camera, how he had only one thing on his mind, to be the biggest YouTuber, and has no sense of any human empathy. When he would be giving people life-changing amounts of money, he'd be hoping that they cry, being like, yes, please cry. It would be so good if you cry. It'll be so good for the video. Almost like nothing he was doing was real. Jake moves on from this, and by 2021, he had moved to New York to work on his stand-up comedy career. He gets a phone call from his ex-employer, MrBeast YouTube LLC. in which he's pitched an idea for a video he'd be starring in. According to him, the pitch made it seem like it was going to be paradise. It was going to be very simple. You're just going to sit in this room, chilling, on vacation. You have an ice cream machine, you have a bed all to yourself, a bathroom, everything you need, really. All you have to do is survive in this room for 100 days. And even better, every single day you sit there, you get $10,000. Only the last 5 days are going to be hard. You know, you're going to be tortured a little bit, but otherwise, easy. And to Jake, this meant two life-changing things. First off, he was going to be fully starring in a video, right? He's usually always edited out, and the editors told him it's because of his strong personality. So that's awesome. He gets to actually flex his comedic bones. And second, $10,000 a day. He comes from a very rough background. So this is a very life-changing amount of money. He said yes and went back to North Carolina immediately. Now, what many people don't know is that this video wasn't released, and it was a testing ground for the video that did release starring Jimmy called I Survived 50 Hours in a Maximum Security Prison. Actually, what's even more interesting and wasn't mentioned as far as I recall in the video from DocPack was that the same set, the same exact room where they put Jake was used in the video $10,000 every day you survive prison.
Wait, let me get my head wrapped around this one. So you're telling me that man, you telling me this dude sat in a room for 100 days and he didn't hold up his end of the deal? Like, you didn't pay him to do it. You told him you'll pay him $10,000 a day. I mean, that is life-changing money. I mean, let's be real. That's a bag. You know, that's a bag at the end of the 100 days. But the cold part about it is you didn't pay him? Like, so you basically just had him like a test rat, like a test tube? Yeah, that's bad. That's bad. That's really bad. So what was the incentive for having him do that? I mean, riddle me that. What was the incentive? Like, this guy sat in a room eating, from the looks of things, junk food for 100 days. And were you testing his sanity? All right, MrBeast, you're gonna have to talk about this one. Like, what was the purpose of that? I really want to know. I'm genuinely curious.
Jake has given us pictures, and as you can see, it's the same exact set. And here's Jake himself. Jake says that while it may look cute on video, the facility had a lot of problems. The hot tub had no filtration system, so it would smell after 3 days. The ice cream machine's dairy was very strong, so it would also be very smelly. This room had a septic tank. That was its plumbing system, so that also was smelly. Overall, it wasn't a very nice room to be in. And he had just agreed to a challenge of staying here for 100 days in solitary with no human contact. He didn't even last more than 10 days. You have to understand, Jake is genuinely a victim. This isn't some sob story. He would literally start trembling and crying whenever he would recount what happened in that room. He was cut off from human contact, but the worst part was that they would not turn off the fluorescent lights. And he had no source of sunlight, no windows. He could not sleep. He still suffers of insomnia today. And the symptoms started during this challenge. Imagine.
You're telling me they didn't turn off the lights for a test video? I mean, come on. Now that's bad. That's if this is under your company, MrBeast, YouTube, LLC, whatever it is, yeah, you violated human rights with that one, man. That's torture, dude. That's torture. That's literally torture.
Imagine being in a room, right? A smelly ass, small, stupid room, and you have no sense of time passing. You have no idea how long it's been. The sunlight, the moon, nothing, zero. This is what solitary is. It's meant to be torture. He wouldn't be able to fall asleep, and he was expected to do daily challenges almost. Because guess what? The cameras were rolling 24/7. He had to be entertaining. He had to make jokes. He had to look at the camera and say things. You'd know what I'm talking about if you watched a MrBeast video before. He of course complained about this, right? It's hard not to complain when you can't sleep. It's one of the worst things on the planet, and staff wouldn't budge. He'd get visited by editors sometimes and they'd joke around saying, wow man, you know, everything okay? This footage looks horrid. It seems like you're going through a really rough time. Yeah, no shit. The guy can't sleep. He was able to briefly speak to one of his friends on set, telling him about the fact that they can't turn off the lights, and his friend jokingly said, well buddy, that's a war crime. We can't even do this to terrorists. That's sleep deprivation. And the worst part is, he's right. So at this point, Jake's already thinking, you know what, screw the money, I cannot do this, I need to get out immediately. Then Jimmy shows up, asks, hey, why is he sleeping? And staff says, oh yeah, he's having a hard time sleeping. And Jimmy says, well, wake him up. He pulls 2 briefcases and says, hey, we have 2 challenges today. You want to find out what they are? And Jake at this point is sleep deprived. He's like, oh, hey, what are the challenges? Jimmy says, well, the first one is a Rubik's Cube. Jake says, there's no way I can do this. I'm dyslexic. It's going to be very embarrassing. I can't do it. Jimmy cuts the persona completely and looks at him and says, come on, just do it, you know, for the challenge, for the video. Come on. Jake manages to avoid it, but then the second challenge was running a marathon on a treadmill.
You telling me I've been in here for 7 days and you want me to figure out in a Rubik's Cube? Do you smell the septic tank? Do you smell the hot tub? My ice cream is melted all over the floor. I done shat all over myself. I'm going crazy in here at this point. Like, at this point, what are we talking about? What are we talking about, dude? You want me to do it for the video? What? Like, this is insane, man. This is insane. You definitely severely violated human rights, man. This is, you really went that far for a video? Like, these people look up to you. You know, not only you provide them financial freedom, they look up to you as an idol and like someone you really, really like. Them show their true colors and in a sense backstab you. It's really painful. It's really painful. I'm pretty sure everybody has been through it, but it's really painful. But damn, dude, like, come on, man. It's not right, man. This is not right.
And by that point, Jake knew he couldn't just say no. He was going to be forced to do it, so he did it. No practice beforehand, by the way, no preparation. He had just woken up and he is sleep deprived. And according to him, he ended up running from 12 to 3 a.m. I don't know whether it was 12 p.m. or 12 a.m., but regardless, 3 or 9 hours, regardless, right? You're making someone sleep deprived and solitary run for 3 hours. 9 hours is a war crime for sure. He was allowed to take breaks, but by the end of it, his feet had massive blisters. I don't even want to know what they actually looked like, but it was probably horrifying. They got the on-site psychologist to go talk to him, and the psychologist was like, yeah, dude, it's over. He can't do no more. All of a sudden, everyone was concerned. And he laughs about this. He says, well, guess what? That night, they decided to turn off the lights. The next day, all the staff is there to comfort him, all his friends. Yeah, you know, right. He does specify that a lot of them were talking, voicing the fact that this isn't fair. This shouldn't even be happening, that they're treating him very badly. But of course, you know, they weren't the decision makers. Jimmy apparently sat there in front of him like an evil villain and said like some of the most cold things. Like, hey, you know, it was horrible, but at least you get to keep the money.
He said, Jimmy said, can you say to the camera how thankful you are that now you can pay back your student loans?
Oh, wow. That's wrong, dude.
You know how hard it was to do a take of that?
That's torture.
And pretend to make it genuine? I don't want to have student loans. I don't want to be in a cage. But Jimmy's the guy with the money, and if you do what he says, he'll do what you want. You want your student loans paid off? You just be in this cage.
He got out of there and ended up having to pay $44,000 in taxes. So in reality, he got $56,000. Some people in the comments of DocPack's video argued that his symptoms showed that he has PTSD from this. Maybe. All I know is that he couldn't stop crying thinking about it, and that to me is enough. This is literal psychological torture mixed in with war crimes. Jimmy has a lot to answer for. And now, other than Ava Chris Tyson being an absolute disgusting weirdo, we now know that someone who used to work there as a high-ranking manager was on the sex offender registry. The dude even appeared in videos, and for some reason, right? Some reason chose to put on a mask. I wonder why he's trying to hide his identity. His charge is from the state of Delaware. The victim's age is from 1 to 11 years old. That is ridiculously young. And his charge is 4th degree sexual intercourse. Victim less than 18 years old. The excuse of, oh, I didn't know, doesn't pass now, Jimmy. This is ridiculous. By the way, you know how MrBeast has this philanthropic project called Team Seas where he clears oceans and seas and beaches of trash? Well, it turns out he left heaps of trash during the filming of a video near a body of water.
At the end of that video, he actually says,
And if you're wondering, yes, we did ensure the lake was completely cleaned up after this video.
DocPack ended up emailing the site in which MrBeast filmed, and they confirmed that he did indeed leave a lot of trash in this area. Interesting. The video ends with Jake crying, but this time thanking DocPack profusely for finally letting him talk about this, something that he's been hiding inside of him for years. Not just out of fear of repercussion from MrBeast and his company, but also because he doesn't want his friends to lose their jobs. This isn't just some other controversy anymore. People's lives are at stake here. The Beast games right now that are going on with Amazon already are threatening people's very existence. And Jake showed us that this isn't the first time Jimmy has done this. We need answers and we need changes now, because this is unacceptable.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm gonna end it off right there. But I agree. This is crazy. This is crazy, man. Like, I knew there was something about MrBeast and his smile, his look. Every time I see a thumbnail from him, it always just seems like sinister. Like there's always some type of sinister in it, and success brings that, especially success on his level, you know? He has success on a level that's beyond our imagination. Let's just be honest. But yeah, I hope you guys like this reaction. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Is MrBeast cooked? Is he done? Is he out of here? What do you guys think? Seems like his team is crumbling, his foundation is crumbling under him. That's what it seems like to me. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one.